Hey, I'm Charlie. Welcome to Millstone Research. It's an unusual thing making a video about depression and suicide for an audience of strangers. But you aren't really strangers, are you? All of us were raised in the same families, all of us were taught the same nonsense, and all of us are now dealing with the same issues as a result of those experiences. If anything, that makes us a community of survivors, and I very much want you to survive whatever it is that's brought you here. I always knew that this was going to be the first video of the Exit Support series, and that's because depression and suicide are heartbreakingly relevant subjects for the Watchtower's countless victims. That is not a coincidence. It's an inevitability. And that's because all of us live our lives within different environments. Safe and nurturing environments lead to healthy growth, healthy beliefs, and healthy behaviors, while abusive and neglectful environments lead to unhealthy growth, harmful beliefs, and self-destructive behaviors. Jehovah's Witness families and congregations are perfect examples of abusive and neglectful environments, as we will see in future videos. Right now, what I most want you to know is this: no feeling is final. No feeling is final is a line from a poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, and it's become an essential part of my outlook on life. No feeling is final is a phrase that I've always found to be true, even, or especially, when all hope seems lost. No feeling is final is also what I wish I had the chance to say to the friends and family in my life who ended theirs, because I know that if they'd only waited for an hour or a week or a year, they would have learned for themselves that no feeling is final. Since I can't tell Josh, Dan, Tim, Justin, or my Aunt Lori that, I'm telling you instead. No feeling is final, but if you are currently having persistent thoughts of harming yourself or ending your life, please call someone you trust or one of the numbers below. Call them today. I know that it can be scary to share these feelings with another person or even to just say it out loud, but if that is your reality right now, then it needs to be acknowledged. There is no shame in seeking help when you need it. There have been 2 times in my life when I came closest to ending things. The first was when I was 14 years old, recently baptized, trapped in a terrible situation while also beginning to realize that I'd been constantly lied to about God, reality, and myself since birth. The second time was 4 years ago. My second marriage was falling apart, my job was brutal and uncertain, I was not taking care of myself, and all of my psychological defenses had begun to fail. By then, I'd already gone to my garage to check if the roof beam would hold my full weight. I also began imagining going to the ocean and swimming out until I didn't have the energy to swim back. For future reference, if you ever find yourself weighing the pros and cons of various suicide methods, it is time to talk to someone. So I did. I called a crisis hotline, and it helped. In fact, towards the end of the call, I laughed aloud for the first time in a very long time, which did make me feel better. The despair I'd felt just before calling was gone, at least for that moment. Why? Because no feeling is final. I thanked the volunteer, assured her that I would be alright, and said goodnight. I didn't know that I would be alright, but I was now open to that possibility. Sometimes all you need is a little honesty and kindness to keep going. Looking back on my own struggles with depression and suicidal thoughts, I can now see that those feelings were largely due to a failure of imagination on my part. I was in crisis, not only from my suffering, but also from the despair of believing that that pain would be an unavoidable and permanent part of my future. I literally could not imagine my life being any other way than it was, which is why cutting it short began to seem like a reasonable solution. It isn't, but here's the thing. When we're physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted and experiencing overwhelming stress, fear, and pain, our brains are not functioning optimally. So we tend to reach worse conclusions and make worse decisions than we normally would. And why are so many of us feeling such overwhelming stress, fear, and pain? Because, again, our environments are not safe or healthy, and our bodies are screaming at us, begging for a change of location and company. Those thoughts and feelings are actually messengers saying, we really want you to live, but this place, these people, and this situation are not helping with that at all. During a more recent and extremely harrowing relationship crisis, the thought of ending my life arose only once, and when it did, I immediately dismissed it. I could do that because I had used the time since my last low point to improve the inner environment of my mind and the outer environment of my community. And also, I knew that no feeling is final. It is only once we understand the reality of the situation that we're in that we can begin to change things. And of course, there will still be situations that feel overwhelming. That's part of life. But they will not feel so hopeless. Not because the challenges are much different than before, but because you are. Ask yourself, what am I missing here? Is there anything I don't know or haven't considered about this situation or about my life? What have others done when faced with similar circumstances? Give yourself an opportunity to explore those questions and all the other questions that you haven't allowed yourself to ask until you find answers that make sense to you. If you're willing to give yourself that chance and show yourself that love, Your future existence will not be a constant struggle. Your future environment will not be a hostile place. Your future community will be there for you, and your future imagination will have plenty of better ideas than it does right now. You are stronger, smarter, and more capable than you realize, likely because you've been told the opposite is true for years, if not decades. Those were lies. No matter how bad things have been or currently are, you survived them. You've successfully defied those committed to abusing and destroying you. Please don't finish the job for them. You don't have to get through this alone, and there's no reason you should try to. There are many, many people out here who will see your quality and treasure you just as you are. There's more love and beauty waiting to be discovered than there's time to discover it all. I know how crazy that sounds right now, but it's true. Years from now, you'll think back on how you're feeling today and will be so glad that you waited. But I can only say that with confidence, because I waited too. No feeling is final. You're not crazy. You're not alone. There are ways out. Let's go find some.